first one, because when I measure 14,500 feet, I got a 1 foot error. But here I measured 15,000 and I only got a 1 foot error. So this is a larger error. Is everybody comfortable with that? So whenever we mention error, we always are doing 1 over something. So in the taping lab, what error were you allowed? Was it 1 in 10,000? Okay. So if your allowable error is 1 in 10,000 feet, and you get a 1 in 8,000, are you okay? No, it's not good, right? So that means you have an option. So you're out in the field. This is the allowable error. This is what you get after you calculate. So for instance, let's talk about that scenario. You're out in the field. You do all the taping. You come back in the office, and then you sit down and do the calculation. Is that the way to go, or should you do the calcs out in the field? Calcs out in the field. You finish measuring everything out in the field. You can sit down in the grass or whatever. Do all the calcs. If you get an error that's bigger than the allowable error, you have 2 options. 1, you redo the lab, right, to try to get full credit. Or you don't redo the lab, and I take off -2 from the 3.5. Now, let's say it winds up that you really don't have enough time, but you agree with your lab crew that, oh, we'll come out another day and do it. So you're going to turn in the lab books to me. I'm going to take off the -2, but if you guys go back out and redo it and give me your field books again, I'll give you this 0.2 back. But that's the only thing I'll give you back, because sometimes we don't have enough time, right? But anything else, you know, neatness, if I take off on that or take off on anything else, you're not going to get those points back. So the presentation's worth 1.5 out of 10. The accuracy and precision's worth 3.5. The graphical work, the description, the north arrow, 2.0. Oh, we didn't say the description. I heard somebody say it, but then I forgot. Let's just look at this and then go back to the example. The title's worth a 0.5 point. The location is a 0.5 point. All the crew members' names. And let's agree to always put your name first. Everybody okay? So if I'm in the field book and I see your name on top, I know it's your book. Also, I want your names written on the outside of the book. And could you write it neat? Because I don't want to have to keep looking inside to find out whose book it is. So everybody write your name on the outside of the book. Write it neat, anywhere you want, but just neat on the cover. And then the weather and the date's worth a 0.5 point, the equipment number if it happens to have an equipment number, and then your signature. So you know what point spread we're doing in terms of grading the lab books. You know, sometimes I use the word lab because I'm thinking about, you know, there's lecture and there's lab. But I really shouldn't be using the word lab, I should be using the word field. It's a field book. We're going out in the field. We're doing field work, we're not doing lab work. Okay, but sometimes I just say lab by accident. Good, it says field book. Okay, let's go back to that example we saw, which was what, page 9? Yeah.
Can you just touch base quickly on how they're calculating error? I just don't know where the 104.
Yeah, so let's do the example with our lab. But first I want to show you. Notice that we said that it was all the tabular on the left. Oh, there's a title. There's the title on the top. There's the north hour, date, weather, the graphical signature. There's also the location. So take a look at this. It says Patton Hall Traverse. You know where VPI is? What's that? You know what VPI is? Virginia Polytechnic Institute. It's in the middle of Virginia, kind of in a small town, in a college town. It has a really good engineering program. They had a shooter there. It was one of the, I think it was one of the first shooters, you know, within the last 10 years. One of my students transferred there. I checked with him, but luckily he slept late that day in his class. So you have to have the location on here as well. Okay?
Is that the whole title, measuring distances with this difference?
Yeah, that happens to be the title for them. But you look at what our table, I think our title is pacing for the first one. So let's go back to So, okay, so here, this is the taping. So let's look at this. I think Kelly showed you this the other day. You know, how you say your heel hooks up for taping. Did she show it to you? No? Okay, so let's take a look at this. So you're doing taping tomorrow. So we were taping the line, it's line AB. And we taped it forward, but we know it's not 2 decimal places, right? Do you remember last week when we looked at the tape, how many decimal places are you dealing with?
3.
Was it 3 or 4? It was 3? Okay. Remember, the last number is always an estimate. So they taped it, well, we're not gonna look at that one. We're gonna look at CD instead, because they got the same answer. So there was no error. So from C to D, they measured 100 foot, and then they measured 21.18. So what did they do here? It's over 100 foot, right? So they measured the 100 foot, and then they measured the 21.18. In surveying, you don't jump ahead and do math in your head. You don't do that. You show everything. You measured 100 feet. You measured 21.18 feet, and then you added it together. You show it. You don't jump, you don't add everything in the head. And then the same thing, then they measured it backwards and they got 121.21. And then you get an average. You take 1821, it winds up to be, to round it, it comes out to be 121.20. Okay, so precision taping. We're looking at precision. What does precision mean in terms, versus what accuracy? What is precision? Consistency of measurement, right? So how is my precision when I measured line AB forward and back?